All right, we're going to call this meeting to order. I see that everybody is here to talk about item 12.02, the update for the Center for Employee Health tonight. Thank you all for being here. Staff got that. So we want to appreciate, if you can hear me in the back, we're getting started. Thank you. We are going to call this meeting to order. Tonight we will have an invocation. If he's here, he happens to be my pastor, and I don't see him. He may not have been able to get in the door. If Mr. Jim wait, I see him. He's pushing his way forward. If you are in the middle right there, if you could let Mr. Book come forward. He will do our invocation here tonight. Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Principal Tom Ott. Our national anthem will be sung by Anya de Guzman. Mission statement by Ashley Kondo, principal at Ventura Elementary. And translation services by Miss Belinda Reyes. So that is the way we will start our meeting here tonight. And now I ask Pastor Book to the podium and ask everybody to please stand.
Hey, by the way, you guys are lucky because if he wasn't here, I was praying. So we're in far better hands now.
Thank you all for being here, and thank you guys for asking me to bless our meeting tonight. Father in heaven, it's great to see so much energy in this room and all the folks out there who value their children, the value education here in Osceola County. I thank you for the board, folks who have dedicated themselves to bettering knowledge, education, and the future here in Osceola County. This is a huge undertaking to run a system like this, Lord. And we aren't going to pretend to have all the answers. Nobody does, but you are infinitely wise, you're sovereign. So tonight we're coming to you, as we do every meeting, and ask that you would guide us and direct the decisions that are made. There's some difficult decisions that are made tonight and will be made in the future. I pray, Father, that you will give the board wisdom, direction, and that the county will come together, our teachers, our administrators will come together and work for the betterment of our children and this community. That is our prayer, Father, in Jesus' most precious name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Book. If you'd all please remain standing. We have our Pledge of Allegiance led by Principal Tom Ott.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please welcome Miss Anya de Guzman. Did I say that right?
Yes, sir.
They spelled it out for me.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in the air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Pastor Book, Mr. Ott, and Anya. You may be seated. Principal Kondo, is she here? Hey, Ashley, you should have been moving this way. Come on now.
Good evening. The mission statement of our awesome school district, inspiring all learners to reach their highest potential as reasonable, productive citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Kondo. And just so you know, Principal Kondo and I spend way too much time together. Our daughters play travel softball together, so we can, we have plenty of time banter back and forth. So thank you for that. Ms. Reyes?
Good afternoon. My name is Belinda Reyes, and I'm here to provide translation services. Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Belinda Reyes. este servicio de traducción.
And just a note, and at first I should have asked, and I didn't hear any go off, but please silence your cell phones, especially as we give the awards to the kids. And I do want to say, I'm hearing that the outside audio is like 5 to 10 second delayed. We're working on that right now and see if we can rectify that. We may have to just turn it off, so I do apologize. When this building was built, I think in the early 1990s or late 1980s, there was about 18 to 20,000 students in our district. There are now over 67,000 students in our district. So this room probably isn't big enough for this board anymore, or this school district, but we make do with what we have, and we're going to make do tonight. So we appreciate all of you being here to honor your awesome students. And with that, it's time for our positive comments from board members, and I'll start with Mr. Wheeler.
I've got a few. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. First, I want to thank the Point Siena High School, I think it was the jazz band this morning at the Principal's Arts Breakfast at Gaylord Palms. Those students were great. And then the Point Siena Academy for Fine and Performing Arts elementary dance group did a version of Locomotion with its own choo-choo train, and the kids dressed like conductors. And we got Dr. Reinhardt up. We got Chairman Booth up dancing with them. It was
and videoed it.
Yes, it was, and
put it on Facebook.
And it was great. Those kids did a great job. And finally, this letter was in my box today. I want to read it. It's from some parents. It's addressed to me. Dear Jay Wheeler, we are writing this as we near the end of our years in the Osceola school system with 7 children graduating. We've had children enrolled since 1989. We have had many school counselors, but Ms. Charlotte Gleason has been most caring and knowledgeable. 4 of our children graduated from the IB program. Emily and Evelyn were our first to attend Osceola High School. From the first day the twins attended OHS, Ms. Gleason was there to help us get the classes straight. Due to the enrollment changing each year, the counselors were also changed. When it came time for Emily to take her first Valencia classes, her new counselor, promoted from the middle school, told Emily to just look at the Valencia website. The counselor was not all familiar with the dual enrollment classes. Unfortunately, this was the same quarter after quarter as the counselors she was given were not familiar with the dual enrollment classes. Once again, Ms. Gleason helped. At one point, we were in another state, and Ms. Gleason had a phone meeting with Emily to make sure her classes were right. We can just not say enough about an employee that goes the extra mile to make sure the students are taken care of. We wish Osceola school system the best as the numbers continue to swell. Our hope is that Ms. Gleason is recognized for how much she does above and beyond her job description for the students of Osceola High School. Sincerely, Dr. and Mrs. Charles Powers, and she also copied Dr. Pace on this and Dr. Campbell, who's the principal at Osceola High School. And this is just one example. And I've known Ms. Gleason. She does a great job. But we have hundreds, if not thousands, of employees who go out of their way for our kids every day. I want to thank all of you, but this is just one example. It was a pleasure to get this in my box today. Mr. Chairman, I'll yield the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. Mr. Soto.
That's very good, Mr. Wheeler. I don't have any comments, but I wanted to take this opportunity to briefly express my gratitude. I've seen so many parents fill up this room and even the outside because, of all the thank yous that I get for the service that I do, nothing compares to what I feel when I see parents involved in the lives of their children and in their education. And I think it's just a beautiful thing. I hope to continue earning your support, and I'm really glad that you're here. Thank you.
In just a moment before I turn to you, Mr. Vice Chair, if we could ask everybody who's in the foyer of the outside, if you could keep it down a little bit back there, we appreciate it. We're going to have a lot of awards to give. We'd appreciate it if you guys could keep it down out there so everybody can hear what's going on in here. So thank you. We're sending the sergeants out there now, I think. Mr. Weiser.
Thank you, Chairman. As you guys know, I visit schools all the time, and I just want to briefly mention I had some great visits this week at Bella Lago Academy, Pleasant Hill Elementary, and Westside K-8, and really just continue to get to witness the great things that are happening, not just at those schools, but really about all the schools across Osceola County. It's always a treat for me to just spend time on those campuses, interacting with students, and also engaging with our dedicated staff across the school district. This morning I had the pleasure of speaking at Point Siena High School for their Decision Day program, which is a highlight for me every single year, getting to speak in the lives of our graduating seniors and offering some words of encouragement to them. And then when I wrap that up, I just got back from downtown Orlando right before our meeting. I had the pleasure of speaking on a panel today about the impacts from Hurricane Maria and the work of this board and this district and this community to receive so many of our important students and friends from the Puerto Rican island. And it was my honor to be there and to share the great work that's been taking place and the difference that we're making in the lives of the 2,700 students that came into the school district as a result of that storm, and the currently 2,000 students that are still a part of our school district. So just want to say thank you to the board for your leadership, your compassion. I want to say thank you to the staff that worked so hard to make sure that we received all the students and make such an important difference in their lives. And then I do want to take, you guys know many times I yield this time and don't make comments, but it's an opportunity for me. We have so many students in the room and so many parents in the room, and I don't want to miss the opportunity to just share a few things, most importantly to our students that are here. You know, we have this entire system set up as a blessing to each one of you, and myself and Mr. Booth, Mr. Thacker, who's not here, as well as the superintendent and a number of people around this room are beneficiaries of the great education of Osceola County. We graduated from these schools ourselves. We raised our children in the school district in this community. And so as we encourage our students to continue to pursue their education and to be focused and committed on that, I want to encourage you guys to remember that the commitment to this important part of your life is paramount. We're going to be celebrating some great things this evening with our bilateral students and you know, the work that they're doing. But as I look across this community, I couldn't be more proud of the residents, the students, the teachers, the staff, the administration, and the board that work so hard to encourage our students to remain committed and focused. But I also want to talk about the great opportunity we have. You know, we start off every single meeting with a prayer and with our pledge and with our national anthem, and we're really fortunate to live in this great country. And it would be my encouragement to all of us as citizens of this community to recognize the important work that our veterans do every single day to protect this great republic and what it was built upon and what it stands for and what it should mean for generations to come, and to express the patriotism that I believe all of us should have and live out every single day. In not only the gratitude that we show for those that have served this great country, but also those that continue to work both inside the barriers and the borders of this country and around the globe to continue to advance the idea of a republic and what it means for so many to have a voice when it comes to their elected body and their government. A lot of that comes from the idea of us pursuing character in our lives, and I want to continue to encourage our students as you work to increase your knowledge and your opportunities that are going to come before you. Don't forget the importance of having a good character and being compassionate to other people. I try to live by the idea that I want to do unto others as I would want done to me, and I think that's a great motto for all of us to try to live by. Many of us know that from Scripture or know it as the golden rule. I would like to believe that that will become the motto that all of us in Osceola County would live by, and how we interact with one another, how we treat one another, and how ultimately we raise our children and work with one another in this community. So we're blessed to serve this great community board, as you know. I'm proud to be a resident of Osceola, a student of Osceola, and now a school board member of Osceola, and I want to look at the eyes of all the parents that have entrusted your students to the care of the school district to let you know that we take that very seriously. We're very grateful for the trust you've placed in us, and know that we're grateful for your support in being here tonight and recognizing this is a genuine partnership that really only gets achieved with you working alongside of us and us working alongside of you. So thank you guys. God bless you all, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Weisher. I'll be brief. I wanted to thank everybody involved in the Principal's Appreciation Breakfast this morning. It was fantastic, besides the fact that I had to dance. That I was, how can you turn down a 7-year-old? You can't. You have to go dance. So I appreciate that. You guys did a fantastic job, and I know Dr. Pace will probably comment on that. I feel like it's Kissimmee Christian Church here tonight with Pastor Book, or today, because Pastor Book was here. Mr. Kason played an instrument today for I think it was for the opera singers. He played for and he's our music director there. And what I was going to say is Mr. Blake, who's a second grade teacher who I also attend services with on Sunday mornings, and he coached my daughter in basketball as well, invited me to his second grade class at Eastlake Elementary, where it was a civics class, and they wrote questions and letters, and we talked about local government, state government, federal government. I'm going to tell you, I don't think I would have asked those same questions as those kids did when I was in second grade. These kids are advanced and they're doing great things. Maybe it's just Mr. Blake. Maybe he's just a really, really awesome teacher. And I appreciate him for inviting me. Thank you to the kids there. This class, I just want to make sure that Mr. Clinch knows that they want grass on their playground. They've stomped it out now by the end of the year, just making that request publicly tonight that they want grass on their playground. But nonetheless, I do appreciate them for having me out. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Pace.
I yield, sir.
You yield tonight. So we've got a big crowd. I know why you're all here. And here's what we're going to do. If you picked up an agenda, you would have seen that the first item up for presentations tonight was the Media Specialist of the Year. We're going to flip-flop that, and we're going to go ahead and start with the presentation of the Seal of Biliteracy, and we'll turn it over to Ms. Reyes. Felicidades.
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 Okay. Good afternoon, Chairman Booth, board members, Dr. Pace, and staff. The Multicultural Education Department has been blessed with the opportunity to support schools in meeting the needs of English language learners, as well as provide English speakers with the opportunity to become bilingual and biliterate through our world languages programs. This district's support of world languages not only adds to the value of our students' education in a global marketplace, but also shows our English language learners that their languages, their cultures, and their experiences are welcomed and valued in our district. Tonight, we recognize the achievement of students throughout our district who have attained a high level of competency in listening, speaking, reading, and writing in one or more foreign languages in addition to English, by the award of silver or gold sealed on a standard high school diploma. At this time in 2015, we awarded 21 seals of biliteracy. In 2016, 31. In 2017, 55. And tonight, we award 75. I would like to add that by summer, this number will soon rise as we begin to receive needed scores from IB and AP exams. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Zaira Diaz, who is the Multicultural Education Department's direct support to world languages classes, for her to read the names and awards being received. If I could please ask Chairman Booth and Dr. Pace to join us in awarding the certificates and medals.
Good evening. We are going to start with Celebration High School. Gold is going to be Patricia Barinas. Valeria Díaz Morales. Fabiana, for silver, Fabiana Alcalá Estavilto. Juliana Díaz Rutia. Diego Martínez Alicea. Raylind Padilla Poe. We are going to continue with Gateway High School. Gold, Farieli Liriano. Silver, Daniel Largo. Next is going to be Liberty High School. Silver, Aide Morales. Nicole Ortiz Ortiz. Ruth Pérez. Stephanie Perpina. Valeria Quiles Colón. Xiana Rivera Galán, Kevin Rodríguez Flores, Jennifer Vélez Cruz. Osceola High School, Gold, Victoria Pinedo. Silver, Micaela Borrás Martínez. Serafín Francesi Cornier. Kenneth González Galán. Milena Johnson Luzuriaga. Andrea Lobo Morán. Rey Medero Alvarado. Patricia Medina. Cris Medina Arce. Juan Merced Sánchez. Alexandra Morales de la Torre. Cristal Navas. Italy Perentena Oquendo. Briana Liz Ramos Vélez. Alexi Rivera. Alvin Rosado. Andrea Tamara. Ponciana High School. Silver, Stephanie Andrade. Path, Gold, Alanis Camacho Rolón. Carlos Cepeda. Montserrat Flores Pérez. Nayeli García. Yamilet García. Julián Vázquez. Amanda Hernández. Francisco Lebrón tercero. Stephanie Maciel Somarriba. Aarón Martínez. Alirio Pena La Cruz. Paola Rodríguez Rodríguez. Cristian Santiago. Ian Soto. Angelian Vázquez. José Vélez Morales. Silver, Juliana Abreu. Raidalis Arce. Jacqueline Barco. Nicolás Bermúdez. Zachary Durán. Ana González. Isabel Gunther. Kelianis Hans del Valle. Rachel Kioi. Nathan Medina de Jesús. Kiara Pacheco. Eddie Peña. Asia Pérez. Avinash Persod. Gladys Santana Martínez. Yvonne Marie Valerie Stoll. Valerie Stoll. Michael Velara Pulgar. Yaribel Vázquez. Alejandra Zuluaga Cruz. Rebeca González. From St. Cloud High School, gold, Crystal González. Silver, Yarelis González Díaz. Marcos Jiménez Pontesa. Iralis Sandoval. So I will ask for a big applause for my students. I'm very proud of them.
Well, I know, but it's no. Wow. Congratulations. Awesome.
The lady with the black and white striped phone, that's the one you see on the internet.
No, he did not acknowledge it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I know you're taking pictures. I'm sorry you don't want my ugly mug in your picture. But we do have to continue on with our meeting. We can dismiss you guys. Please take all the pictures you want anywhere on the campus here. We want to say thank you, thank you, thank you to you parents. It's your dedication that makes these kids who they are. So thank you very much. We appreciate it. You guys are awesome.
Just dying. It was pretty hot back there, wasn't it? Great job.
Yes, they would like you to exit that way. I mean, you look like an adult already if you want to sneak through. Take the medal off. You can get through as a parent. But congratulations, guys. Good job, man. Good job.
Congratulations, young man.
That's not going to pass.
We unplugged the mic. Congratulations. Congratulations. You guys did awesome.
Great job.
That's something we all need.
Congratulations again.
Nice job. No, wait a minute. There you go. Yeah, that was great. That was outstanding. You can delete that. You can delete that one and keep the other. Thank you. He's a good kid. Good kid.
He is very, that guy's at like 150 IQ.
All right, good job, Mr. Booth.
Okay, well, we're still going to have to give it a minute or two.
Right. Yeah.
You know, there's districts out there that are parents driven parents.
Did Ribbon ever figure out how to turn TV off? She was singing the national anthem. They were reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I got all my men and babies. I got all of them.
I got her out with
That's what I say.
So,
Man, everybody's leaving.
So just to make clear, since we got Orange County School Board member, Ms. Gordon, welcome.
Right here.
love you. And we got Dr. Fritz.
You got my whole team.
And Dr. Fritz.
I know. No, he belonged to us from the beginning.
No, he was here first.
That's right.
That's what
And
she
that's
means.
why we made him come back home.
Okay.
Going back home, baby.
So we'll give it a minute or two more for the folks to clear the doorway there. When we do, we will move on in our agenda to the media specialist of the year. No big rush.
They're really listening to you too, Ricky.
I wanted to make sure everybody else who was staying here still
Pay
heard me.
real close attention to what you're saying.
Probably are going to have to.
Calvin tells me he's busy.
So this is a good time to remind everyone, if you do want to make a public comment, that we have the public comment, the yellow forms on the back table right at the front doors there. If you could, as soon as we are done with our appointments and transfers, we will move into the public comment section of our meeting tonight.
Oh, golly. Tanya.
I know we're going to have just as many folks here for appointments and transfers as Osceola Biliteracy, so big meeting tonight.
I got access to the internet too, right? This is the internet. Okay, good. Thank you. Oh, don't be surprised. I can access more than that.
There's Scott. Okay.
Hold on. No, we're good. I don't.
It is a great problem to have.
They're still moving people in. But there's still a bunch of people. With his brother. We got phase 1 and phase 2. So as everybody's moving in, I'm going to call the meeting back to order. I know it's fine if you're continuing to move back in, but we do need to get moving here. But we have a very important presentation next. Many of you know my connection to media specialists, so I would, yeah. I used to be married to one. I'm still married to the same lady. She just happens not to. I got you.
I was going to help you on that.
So we're going to turn it over to Scott Clark from MITD, and we are going to present our 2017-2018 Media Specialist of the Year.
All right, I'm going to invite our two winners to come on up here, and I will go ahead and read what we have. Osceola County School Librarians Association is pleased to announce the 2018 Media Specialist of the Year Award winners. Kim Taylor of Bellalago Academy. Represents the elementary school media specialist, and Karen Pruitt of Pats. Represents the secondary school media specialist. These ladies embody the core values of service, professionalism, integrity, and passion in the school media program. The winners' tireless efforts help pave the way for their students' literacy success, as well as undergird the curriculum of every classroom through collaboration with other teachers. We are proud of their achievements. In recognition of their passion for teaching and their ability to instill confidence and a joy of learning in students, both ladies exemplify the term above and beyond. They give willingly of their time beyond the workday to make sure that their media centers serve the needs of their school. They also assist with school-wide events and are chairman of committees and members of school various groups and media educational professional associations. So we are proud to present this, and I have Maggie coming. She was a winner last year with their certificates and recognition.
Hey, ladies, as you can tell, the kids are still outside cheering for you, by the way. I know what that was about. It was for you.
If it weren't for these ladies, maybe they wouldn't be celebrating so much.
Very true.
Yes, if you want to.
Absolutely. Principals, please.
Where's our
come
principals
forward.
at? Congratulations.
I see Ms. Evans and also
Congratulations.
Dr. Rasmussen. Congratulations. And it's been literacy month. Okay, yes. Dr. Rasmussen, here.
Taking a picture. I'll share them. I got one.
While Mr. Booth's making his way up, two quick things. Number one, I see so many of our dedicated staff from the school district, administrators and the like across the room, so just thank all of you guys for what you do. for your service and your dedication. We know it's the end of the school year, so thank you for working so hard to finish strong and for representing the mission, the vision, and the values of this school board and this school district. And then secondly, and maybe even most important, many people wonder what we do up here while Mr. Wheeler is talking, and this is what I'm typically doing, just so that I can. No, I'm kidding.
I got three of those.
I found this in my drawer.
And as Mr. Weisser said, we're happy to see all of you. And looking at the agenda, I know why you're here, because I believe we have 11. Is that correct? 11 administrative appointments tonight. Dr. Pace, do you want to go in the order there? You know what? I'll just turn it over to you. I'll let you decide which order you would like to go in, and we'll take it from there.
Mr. Booth, if it pleases the board, I would like to recommend that we do the administrative transfers collectively like we did last time.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
sure.
that would be
Perfect.
3.01. And if I could please invite Miss Allison Doe, Miss Nadia Winston, Audie Confessor, and Gary Bressler to come forward to the podium. As the board knows, I pledged to you when I first became your superintendent that it was my goal to make sure that we have quality leaders in every building across this district, because we know what a great difference that means for our teachers and for our students and for our entire community. The four standing above you, like so many others, have served in their current positions so well, but they also have now agreed to take on new challenges because we like to keep our people sharp. So it is my recommendation that I would be asking the board to transfer Miss Allison Doe, currently the principal at Highlands, to Hickory Tree Elementary School. Miss Nadia Winston, currently the principal at Westside K-8, to Central Avenue Elementary School as our principal. Mr. Audie Confessor, currently the principal at Chestnut Elementary School for Science and Engineering, to Deerwood Elementary School. And Mr. Gary Bressler, the principal at Pleasant Hill, will be taking Audie's place at Chestnut Elementary School for Science and Engineering. And these changes would be effective on June 4th, other than maybe slightly earlier for Ms. Doe.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I've got a motion by Mr. Weisser, a second by Mr. Soto, and discussion has been requested by Mr. Wheeler.
First of all, I want to thank all four of you for the leadership that you've shown and for the challenges you're willing to take. I've got to do a special thank you, though, to Ms. Winston. I know you took over Westside K-8 when it was a mess. There's no other way to put it. You did a great job. I've heard from your staff already today after you announced it. They've been texting me and emailing me, and I told them they're going to be great. They're going to do just fine. But I appreciate all of you, but you did an amazing job at Westside especially. So thank you all.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well done.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
And I just, hold on, we haven't voted yet, because I still have to say. I just want to say I had the chance to talk to Ms. Doe earlier today, and I know I got a lot of positive response from staff. I got a lot, and when I see the faces in the crowd, probably from people at Highlands giving the faces, I know that we've got a great principal coming over to District 5, where we want all the great principals to be. No, I'm just saying. But congratulations to all four of you. I know you guys are some of the superstars, some of the rock stars in this district, and Dr. Pace says so. When she alluded to something earlier, and I just want to touch on it. When we were interviewing our superintendents, we asked each superintendent, what's the most important job? The superintendent candidates, what's the most important job you have as a superintendent? And she says, putting the right principal at each and every school. And I think she's absolutely correct. I agreed with her. I can't vote for her, but I absolutely agreed for her for various reasons, or for one reason, not various. So congratulations. Thank you, Dr. Pace. And congratulations, you guys. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That moves us then to 3.02, principal recommendation for Highlands Elementary School. Highlands is going to be just fine, Mr. Booth.
I know they will.
It is my pleasure to call Miss Patty Cummins to the podium. As you know, Patty has been serving with Miss Doe as assistant principal at Highlands Elementary School, and she has my full support as your candidate for principalship.
Motion to approve.
All right, I got a motion by Mr. Wheeler.
Second.
I'll take a second by Mr. Weisser. Any discussion, board?
Great job.
Great job. Congratulations. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Congratulations. And please introduce anyone you can, please.
So with me tonight, I have my husband, Dan, who's been supportive in every aspect. My parents are watching live stream from Indiana. Hi, Mom and Dad. Allison Doe, Rachel Rosenbaum, Debbie Jones, and Maureen Donahue, and Audie Confessor, not to mention many more, are here, and I thank them for their time tonight. Thank you, Dr. Pace.
And if I could ask Ms. Pagan to please come forward, we'll move on to 3.03. It's my pleasure to recommend Ms. Pagan to be the principal at Pleasant Hill Elementary School. As you know, she's been serving with excellence as the assistant principal at Lakeview Elementary School since 2015.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Weisauer, a second by Mr. Wheeler. Board, any discussion?
Congratulations. Well done.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'll now call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm so honored and excited for this privilege, and I'm blessed tonight to be here with my mother and my 2 daughters and the 3 administrators that I've had the blessing to serve and learn under in this district. So thank you.
Well, congratulations.
And again, for the board and for the community, these recommendations would be effective to start our 18-19 school year, but we'll make them effective June 4th so they can train with our folks over our summertime.
Before you move on, just real quick, when they introduce family or friends that are with, please stand up, because we like to be able to physically see and recognize you guys for who you are, because it doesn't happen alone. It's the support that happens in the home and the community that makes these people able to succeed so much. So please, just if you would, so we can recognize you as well for your support and your role in what we're doing here.
And since you didn't get the chance, would you like to?
I would like to see it.
Yeah. I knew it. I saw it.
And for all those of you parents who are going to get a new position, it gives you a chance to embarrass your kids also.
Yeah. And I saw this one over here. She was upset that we were going to do that after the fact. So there you go.
Is that why she was giving me dirty looks?
Yes, exactly.
If I could please, Dr. Kimberly Dos Santos, come to the podium. This brings us to 3.04, administrative appointment for Poinciana Academy of Fine Arts. Ms. Kimberly Dos Santos is currently an assistant principal at Sawgrass Bay Elementary School in Lake County. I also wanted to share with you, though, she's a former chemical operations specialist for the United States Army, Scholars to Scholars mentor at the University of Central Florida, and she's been an elementary curriculum resource teacher as well in the Lake County school system. And we're really excited to have her join our team to be the principal at PAFA.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Weisauer, a second by Mr. Wheeler. Any discussion, board?
Just a quick comment. Congratulations and thank you for your service.
Thank
you.
you.
Well done.
Yep. So, board, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Congratulations.
Chairman of the board members, Dr. Pace, I just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm extremely excited to become a part of the SDOC family, and I look forward to doing great things with this district. Tonight I brought with me my husband, Douglas Dos Santos. He is my support, my biggest cheerleader, and I'm so happy to be able to share this moment with him tonight. So thank you again so much.
And we love stealing talent from Lake County, too. We were just at a meeting with Mr. Dodd earlier from Lake County, so I wish I would have known. We would have ripped on him a little bit.
That's okay.
That brings us to 3.05 for our principal at Westside K-8, Ms. Christy Ray. If you could come to the podium. And we're stealing Ms. Ray from Orange County, where she has served in many positions, but currently is a turnaround principal at Tangelo Park Elementary School. Very excited to bring her talents and energy to Westside K-8.
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Wheeler, second by Mr. Soto. Board, any discussion?
Kat Gordon, you see that?
Yes, I do.
Board seeing no further discussion, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Congratulations.
Thank you.
thank you to the board and to Superintendent Pace. I really appreciate it. I have a little bit of a cheering section. My husband of 20 years who just puts up with me all the time, and my daughter Katie. My son had to go off to soccer practice, but my very best friend from Tampa drove after just having surgery, so she's back there, and my very best friend from Orange County. So thank you. I look forward to serving and
That then brings us to our, I apologize.
I have to do this as the Lord. Mr. Washire, I have to caution you from years of experience, it is a very, very, very dangerous thing to engage with Kat Gordon.
I take exception to that. I totally disagree. Wait, Mr. Kruppenbacher, I totally disagree. I've known Kat Gordon for more than 15 years. She is a delightful woman. I love Kat Gordon. You're welcome.
Order. Frank, I have no doubt you feel that way, okay?
That then brings us to our assistant principal recommendations. Again, these are for the 18-19 school year with the tentative start date of June the 4th. First up, we have 3.06, assistant principal for Tohopokalaiga High School, Mr. Chris Todd. Of working with Mr. Todd during my time as principal at Harmony High School, and also have seen his career grow and advance since then. He's been serving as a dean, avid coordinator, all kinds of great and wonderful things, and I'm really excited to recommend he join the Tohopokalaiga team.
Motion to approve.
Second. Discussion. Mr. Todd, do you remember me?
I actually do. You were in my classroom the very first day because I hadn't been fingerprinted yet, and you spent the first 2 days of my classroom teaching world history, I believe.
Celebration High School, that's right.
No, Harmony High School.
Harmony. You were the wrestling coach too.
I do have a better memory than you, I guess.
Okay, well, I'm an old guy. What can I tell you? Yeah, I was there when Harmony High School opened as an extra set of hands, and Mr. Todd just started his career then, and it's nice to see that you are progressing nicely. So congratulations. We're excited for you, and that's all great. I'm thrilled to see this. You've really grown in your.
Thank you.
So I have a motion by Mr. Weishauer.
I can't miss
Second by Mr. Wheeler, just for the secretary.
Your
Sorry.
first 2 days here, you had to deal with Mr. Wheeler, and
I'm still here. I'm still here, so that should say something.
We are very proud of you, sir.
Can I vote? Can I vote for this man twice tonight?
Yes.
I just want to know, Mr. Boyd, I'd like, in all seriousness, Mr. Boyd, could we bring a policy forward that would never allow Mr. Wheeler to teach a class?
Oh, I got it. You just heard him. Mr. Wheeler did great.
Just for Tanya, so we don't get confused, I've got a motion by Mr. Weishauer, second by Mr. Wheeler. I think we've had our discussion, so I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries 4-0. Congratulations.
Who's here with you?
I'd like to say thank you to Dr. Pace, Dr. Fritz, Dr. Reinhardt, and the board for this tremendous opportunity. I'd also like to thank Mr. Phelps and his leadership team for the belief in me. I'm excited to get started at Tohopokalaiga, make it the best school in Osceola County. It'd be remiss of me if I didn't recognize a few people, because obviously I've been here a while, who've helped me get to this point in my career, and I'm forever grateful for their leadership and guidance. Mr. Buddy Butler, may you rest in peace. Mr. Jim Hickey, Mr. Connor Gilbert, Mr. Tom Ott, Ms. Kim Miller, Mr. Jerry Gallman, Dr. Maria Carroll, Mr. Mike Zella, and Ms. Yanellis Ballard. And finally, a huge thank you to my wife, who is back there, who's also Amber, who's a teacher at Lakeview Elementary, and my son Jackson, who are my biggest cheerleaders. I love you guys to death. Thank you for everything you do for me. And to my family watching at home in Illinois and in Pennsylvania, hi guys. And Mr. Ott forced me to say this, every student future ready. Thank you very much.
As we move on, I will ask Juanita Morrow, Dr. Morrow, to come to this podium, please. In addition to College Acceptance Day, Decision Day at Poinciana High School today, we also had a very successful one at Liberty High School, and what a difference a year makes. And it really comes from some of the great work that Dr. Morrow and the rest of the team at Liberty High School have done this year in really pushing and promoting that college-going culture with the Liberty Chargers. And for that, I'm recommending that she be an assistant principal at Liberty High School in the coming year.
Second.
We got a motion by Mr. Soto, a second by Mr. Weishauer. Board, any discussion?
No, well done.
Well done.
Deserve it.
Congratulations. I think That wraps it up. Thank you, Mr. Soto. We'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you to the board. Thank you to Dr. Pace. Thank you to Dr. Reinhardt and Dr. Fritz. I take this responsibility very seriously, so I just want to say thank you all for taking the chance on me. I look forward to continuing the work that I'm doing at Liberty High School. There are some great things happening there, so I'm really excited to continue what we're doing. Tonight I have with me my best friend of more than 15 years, my mentor who has been with me for a lot of, she's been with me through a lot of things, and then my boyfriend Brent, and also my family's watching on live stream. Also, I have my Charger family with me, Mr. Pricer, Mr. Oscott, Mr. Holder, and Ms. Cruz, who I look forward to working with next year. So thank you.
Congratulations.
And next, if Rebecca Rachowski could come to the podium, please. As Rebecca comes forward, I will recommend that she be our assistant principal at OTEC and Paths in the coming year under the leadership of Mr. Ott. She has been serving with great leadership at Narcoossee Middle, and we think she's ready for the next challenge.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Weissire, a second by Mr. Wheeler. Board, any discussion?
Yeah.
Well done.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I have a
There we
Mr.
go.
Ott, really? Good luck. Good luck.
Well, I just hate that you're leaving Narcoossee. I know you did a fantastic job out there, so but congratulations.
It's a little bittersweet, but it's wonderful.
I understand. Board will call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Congratulations.
So I just want to be able to thank the board, Dr. Fritz, Mr. Allen, Dr. Reinhardt, and Dr. Pace, giving me this opportunity. I'm really looking forward to it. As I looked around the room, I have a lot of faces that have helped me get to this position, but the heart and soul really goes home to my family and my kids that should be getting ready for bed soon. Hopefully they're doing wonderful for their dad. Mr. Tlemko and the administration team at Narcoossee for really getting me to that next step and preparing me, and then Mr. Ott and the leadership team for allowing me to be able to join the community. And I also have been required to say that every student will graduate future ready.
Good.
That is a guarantee. That is a guarantee.
You gotta watch out for Ott.
Yeah, that's why I called him out. You never know with
Watch
him.
out for this guy.
Next, we have 3.09, our administrative appointment for assistant principal at New Beginnings. Mr. Anacotta, if you could come forward, please. Mr. Anacotta started his career at New Beginnings as an ESE paraprofessional, and he has continued to learn and grow as he pursued additional degrees, additional study, and really supported the team there. And I think he's going to be a great partner for Ms. Waymeyer and Ms. Gordon and the rest of the team. So I stand behind this recommendation for Mr. Anacotta.
Motion to approve. Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Soto, second by Mr. Wheeler. Board, any discussion?
Yeah, briefly.
Yeah, please. Mm-hmm.
I know that you know what you're getting into. But I could tell you, every opportunity that I have to speak about New Beginnings and the work that you do there, Miss Nina and her team, everybody that's involved, it's a source of pride for me personally, and I hope I could speak for the rest of the board, because I tell you that I'm very involved with that school, so you'll be seeing me around, and welcome to this challenge, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Soto. I was going to say something along those lines, so I'll let that stand at that. Board, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Congratulations. Floor's yours, yeah.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you to the board. Thank you to Ms. Nina, Ms. Norma, my NBC family. I do have family and friends here, as well as watching live stream. Thank you, Dr. Pace, and your team, and I look forward to this new adventure.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next, I have Ms. Faith Salvato coming to the podium. Board, as you know, she has served us with great pride and leadership throughout the district, has currently been as a resource teacher under Dr. Respas's area in elementary, and we are excited to add her to the team. for Hickory Tree Elementary School as an assistant principal.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Weisshire, second by Mr. Wheeler. Board, any discussion? Welcome to Hickory Tree.
Thank you.
Did I meet you? Welcome and congratulations. Board, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Congratulations.
I just want to thank you for this opportunity, and I am so excited to serve at Hickory Tree. I brought my mom with me tonight, my biggest supporter. And I also have to say, two people who are sitting up there with you tonight have helped me along the way. Mr. Shatera, I got to serve under him at Cypress, and then Dr. Respis, who has just been my mentor the whole time I've been in curriculum and instruction, and I will just miss her dearly. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ms. Vivian Ivy. Very excited to welcome Vivian to the podium tonight. Ms. Vivian Ivy is for your consideration for assistant principal at Ventura Elementary School. She's been serving as the math science coach there, doing a great job, and I know she will continue to be a leader in the team.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Wheeler, a second by Mr. Soto. Board, any discussion? I have some, as we told the young man going to New Beginnings, do you know what you're getting yourself in?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, good. Well, congratulations. I know Ms. Condo's doing great things out at Ventura Elementary, and I'm glad you're part of the team. Board, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Congratulations.
I want to say thank you to all of you for giving me this opportunity to continue to serve. I'm so excited to continue to serve Ventura families. I know I have big shoes to fill. Lisa Tendo's living, and I have big shoes to fill. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for everything you guys have done for me, Condo and Tendo. I have my husband and my son, which I feel so proud. And thank you again, and I'm very excited and ready to go.
Congratulations.
Which brings us to 3.12, Assistant Principal for Celebration K-8. If I could ask Ms. Dr. Francisco Rivera Mialis to the podium.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Mialis is currently studying at UCF to further his studies, but he's also been a teacher and dean at Kissimmee Middle School, and I think he's going to be a great addition as a 10-month assistant principal with the growth that we have at Celebration K under Ms. Mannion and her team.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Welcome to Celebration.
I got a motion by Mr. Wheeler, a second by Mr. Weisshire. Board, any discussion?
Well done.
You're looking good.
Yeah.
Said that.
You know, you're almost overdressed, man.
Let's
No,
not
no,
get
you are not.
You look great.
Yeah,
You're not
that's
overdressed. You look great.
You almost dressed as well as the chairman.
Maybe that's where I was headed,
Oh, let me take it off then. What else
Congratulations. And actually, I just want to take this moment to say, I see a lot of these kids here in the room tonight. I just want to let you know that I grew up the son of an administrator here in Osceola County. Your mom or your dad's going to be really busy. They're going to be working really hard. They still love you. They want to do great things for you. They want to do great things for their community as well. And it's a privilege. It's an honor and a privilege to grow up as a son or a daughter of an administrator or a teacher. It's a wonderful childhood. And so just your mom or dad's going to be busy, but they still love you. Okay? So congratulations. With that, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Congratulations.
I just want to say thank you so much to Dr. Pace, her leadership team. I want to thank the board for the appointment. I brought with me my parents. They're back there, which I thank so much for instilling a sense of education, really, and the importance and the value of it. I also brought my wonderful wife, Allison. We're going to be married 10 years in September, and I just want to say she is my biggest cheerleader. She always has my back. She just believes in me so much. She's a wonderful mother, and she's always supported my career through a doctorate, which is definitely hard. I also want to thank, my in-laws. They're watching from Michigan. Mr. Whedon, at KMS, I just had the opportunity to grow just as a teacher, as a person, and now as a leader. And I want to thank Ms. Mannion for this wonderful opportunity. And I'm ready to go to celebration and continue that line of success. So thank you so much.
Members of the board, if I could just make one additional comment. All 7 of our assistant principals are a product of growth and leadership from within this district. And there are a lot of leaders in this room and on the dais tonight who've contributed to that I want to personally thank, because as we develop one another, we do even better things for kids. So this is a big part of our journey from good to great. So thank you to all of you for being here tonight. Thank you for supporting your colleagues and helping all of us to grow in our service to kids. Thank you.
So with that, again, congratulations to all you. We're actually going to recess for about 3 minutes, okay?
Go get a snack, Calvin. I want you to.
Mind if I do? Don't mind if I do.
Bye. I gotta see you. Love you too. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you. All right.
Hi, Kat.
I love you.
Send you an email back.
How are you? I'm well.
Bill Porter, I want to ask you a question.
Oh, good. You learned that. Oh, you have one. Oh, that is cool.
How you doing? Sorry to get back with you so quick.
So we've got about a minute left. I don't want to rush. I know some folks are still in the restroom, but if you are here to make a public comment, we do ask that you fill out one of these yellow forms in the back and bring it up here to the front. We certainly welcome any and all that want to address the board here tonight, and you can do that. But we do ask that you fill out one of these yellow cards in the back. We got about 45 seconds.
Yeah, he had to go get some food.
Oh, he did? That's all right. We can get started.
That's what he said, yeah.
So we'll call our meeting back to order. We are at the portion of our meeting where we are open for public comment. I do have one here tonight. I want to make sure I say the last name right. Jessica Torrance. Is it Torrance? Okay, good. Ms. Torrance, if you'd approach the podium, if you'd please state your name and address for the record. And you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jessica Torrance, and my address is 11316 Ashboro Drive, Orlando, Florida 32837. And since we're here tonight celebrating students, and since we're here tonight celebrating admin, and we're here celebrating school in general, I have to bring us back to what's going on in the schools these weeks, this month, and that's testing. So I have here something that a parent wrote. I took my son to the doctor almost a year ago. He had to endure hours and hours of tests given over 3 or 4 days. He worried and cried. It took months to get answers. When we got the final answers, we saw he was a 4 out of 5. What did that even mean? We asked what exactly was wrong with him, but no specifics could be shared. It's confidential, they said. He's healthier than 70% of other children his age, they told us. We asked what we could do to help him improve. Come back next year, they said, and we'll do everything all over again. In the meantime, we'll test bits and pieces of him every 9 weeks or so. If we test enough, he'll start doing better. Do your best, they told his father, and me, and our son. If he doesn't improve, I could lose my job, they told us. If he doesn't improve, the state could come in and take over, they told us. Please, try harder. That, my friends, is standardized testing. The parent that wrote this understands that education is as important as physical health. And as we're noticing our children struggling through the test this week, I wanted to ask that the board take into consideration the following. A directive to guide schools and teachers on how to fairly and kindly treat students who opt out or minimally participate in testing. Agenda items to remove any unmandated testing and determine a new and fair evaluation method for teachers. Osceola should be the leader in humane, respectful, and even caring treatment of students and teachers. Today my 8th graders tested, and I was their administrator. 8th graders have an attention span of about 15 minutes when then they need to switch topic or they need a break before they continue. But they tested in science and it was 160 minutes. And the first break was 1 minute at the 40-minute mark, and 3 minutes at the 80-minute mark, and then 1 minute again at the 120-minute mark. And as I looked around the room, with more than 20 minutes left of the test, I was babysitting a room full of sleeping 8th graders. And I don't blame them, and I don't blame the school, and I don't blame the admin. I blame the testing style. These tests are not conducive for any child at any age. And then I also read a scripted text, an instruction to a room full of sleeping students. Can you imagine how stupid I felt? Can you imagine how stupid they will feel when they wake up and get their scores? I would like to believe that everybody is in the best interest of the students, but I don't see that from the legislature. So I'm asking the local board here in Osceola County to take power and remove those majority of tests that are really causing them problems. If we can't remove the state mandated ones, let's take out the other ones. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Torrance. We appreciate it. You want to?
Yeah, Ms. Torrance, I just want to address that for a sec. First off, thank you.
Oh, yeah,
Thank
no
you for being a
problem.
teacher. Thank you for working with kids. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming and speaking.
I'm
about
also a
this.
parent. Yeah.
Just so you know, I'm no fan of standardized tests. I'm no fan of the Department of Education either. Unfortunately, most of the tests that come down the pike, in my opinion, are not designed to really work and do anything for students as much as to evaluate teachers. The state has decided to get into that business, and unfortunately, I don't think it's doing kids a lot of good, but they need to hold teachers accountable because they get dental insurance. I mean, that's pretty much the mindset.
I agree.
I don't subscribe to that. But that is where a lot of that comes from, in my opinion, and there is also a push to privatize public education through the testing companies, through charters, et cetera. And again, I'm not saying that because I am condoning that. That's just the state of affairs we live in. So I appreciate you coming, speaking to us. I would strongly encourage you, write a letter to the editor and address it to your state legislators. Address it to the governor. Those are the people who can really make those changes. I heard what you said about anything that's not state mandated. We've had these conversations with Dr. Pace. Unfortunately, much of it is state mandated, and there's funding tied to it, which I'm not going to tell you is a good idea. It's just kind of the way it is. So I thank you for coming. Please write letters to the editor. Please write your legislators, and make sure you're addressing it to the legislators and to the editors as well. But thank you for coming and bringing this.
Mr. Wheeler, I so much appreciate you saying that. Sometimes we feel like we're alone on this side, but there is nothing more that I want to hear than that an Osceola School Board member, and I see a couple of others nodding, that this is what you believe. So I really do think you will move in our direction as much as you can.
The legislators, in my opinion, the legislators and the Department of Education are grossly out of touch with what goes on day to day in a classroom anywhere in public education in Florida.
Yes, sir, I agree. Thank you so much for saying that.
Board, I just want to thank Mr. Wheeler for his comments as well.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thank you for coming forward. Is there, I don't have any more yellow sheets, but is there anyone else that would like to address the board? No? So, Ms. Tanya, are we recessing the regularly scheduled meeting and calling into order the public hearing? And we'll just turn it over to Mr. Boyd after.
Thank you, board members. Tonight, we bring back to you the same changes that we shared at the workshop and an additional one that is a portion of one that was already shared. All of these changes affect the Code of Student Conduct and are driven by changes in state law. The first change in the Code of Student Conduct is a general one that revises the policy document to reflect these changes in state law and to provide consistency with our district precedent and current practice. The next change on the title page updates the school year to reference the coming school year. The next change updates the table of contents and adds section 504 to the sections titled Suspension, Exceptional Student Education, and Recommendation for Expulsion, Exceptional Student Education. The change after that is in the Dear Students and Parents section and deletes the reference to the year to reflect continuity across all school years. On page 2, there's a deletion of Technical Education Center Osceola to replace it with the current name OTEC, Osceola Technical College. Page 5 adds a paragraph referring to social, emotional, mental health of our students to align the Code of Student Conduct with with Strategic Plan Goal 1, Academic Success, Strategy 1F, develop and sustain a safe, healthy, and caring learning environment, and also to address the recent requirements within state law, especially Section 1006.07, District School Board Duties relating to student discipline and school safety, Florida statutes. Page 10, there's a deletion of obsolete penalties in regard to the school district dress code policy. On page 10, there's also an additional phrase of or designee to the paragraph that references decisions related to the violation of the school district dress code policy. On page 30, there's an addition of a paragraph as required by the U.S. Department of Education Office for Civil Rights that ensures students eligible to be classified as 504 shall receive the same provisions as exceptional student education students regarding suspensions. And then the last change in page 34 is parallel to the one I just read, but for recommendations for expulsion. And then there was one additional blue sheet change you received for the matrix of the Code of Student Conduct that adjusts the codes of some of the consequences for making them mandatory in regards to counseling for certain ones dealing with threats or other things addressed in the state law that has changed, and I emailed that to you earlier. So those are all of the changes that staff recommends to the board for tonight for approval, and I would pause at this time to provide public comment.
So right now, we'll open it back up for public comment. If anyone has a comment that they'd like to make specifically on these policy changes that are before the board at this moment, they can do so at this time. Okay, seeing none. Mr. Boyd?
So at this time, we would request a vote for approval of these changes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the changes as submitted.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I've got a motion by Mr. Wheeler, second by Mr. Soto. Board, is there any discussion?
Just a quick comment. Thank you, Mr. Boyd, for your follow-up on providing some of the additional information I requested for clarification on the one rule change that I had questioned at our last workshop. So I appreciate your diligence and knowledge.
And
You're always welcome.
I'd like to add to Mr. Weishaar's comments. I also appreciate the efficiency with which you do this and the ease. You're so good at what you do, John, and you make it look easy. I know that a lot of hard work went into it and that you always do your best, and I appreciate, again, the succinct nature you presented this, how efficiently you did it, and you did it with, basic common sense also. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I have to give credit to where credit's due also. Darla Bungo helps me with the Code of Student Conduct, so this is her work too.
There's a whole team. I know it. I know it. Thank you, Darla.
Yeah. And just to follow up on that, Darla, thank you as well. And my understanding from the follow-up was that the change that I had questioned is indeed required by law, and so I appreciate both of your diligence in making sure that I understood that before the vote, so thank you.
Gotcha.
You're
Good.
welcome.
So I had a motion by Mr. Wheeler, I believe second by Mr. Soto. Board, I'll call for a vote at this time. All those in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Mr. Boyd.
Thank you, Board.
So we will we will adjourn our public hearing, workshop public hearing, and reconvene our regularly scheduled meeting at this time. Board, I will call for any agenda modifications at this time. Mr. Wheeler.
I'm good.
Mr. Soto?
Don't have any.
Mr. Weishauer?
Yeah, I just want to add for board member comment, just a comment question regarding Liberty High School.
Okay.
That's under, hold on, Tim.
And do you want to add it, or we'll just go through the normal board member comments at that time? That's okay?
That's great.
Okay.
Board member comments, Tim.
Liberty, Tim.
LHS. Okay.
No, Liberty.
Liberty High School, LHS, right?
All right. Dr. Pace? No? Okay. Board, I'll call for a
Motion to approve the agenda consent agenda as submitted. The entire agenda as submitted.
Second.
Second. All right, I have a motion by Mr. Wheeler, second by Mr. Weishauer. Board, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. So that moves us to our information agenda items. Is that correct? Sorry. So we have our updates from the 2017-2018 school year and plans for the upcoming school year from the Early Childhood and Extended Learning Programs. Ms. Marianne Rodriguez.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to share some of
Ms. Rodriguez, sorry, if you could, there you go.
Hear
Thank
me?
you.
Okay. It's my pleasure to share some of the great things that are happening in two of my favorite programs, which are VPK and Extended Learning. As you can see in the PowerPoint, this school year we opened 4 units, Celebration K-8, Thacker, St. Cloud Elementary, and Flora Ridge, with a second unit at Reedy Creek because of the need of the area, which increased the number of families we serve by 100. We implemented dual language at the sites that already have a program, which are Chestnut, Ventura, Boggy, Creek, and Kissimmee Elementary, adding 80 families to the dual language program. Our leads, we trained them in how to deconstruct standards, so they are receiving more or less the same training that our K-12 teachers are. We allocated funds to purchase iPads for the new units. With Footsteps to Brilliance, we need to have iPads. And we are continuing to improve the proportionality and funding for non-Title I units. In our extended learning programs this year, we went ahead and eliminated the waiting list, which had been a small problem, and that increased the number of families served, but we also had to add additional personnel because we have to keep a ratio of 1 to 20. We added a STEM program at selected sites with a $5 cost for parents. We purchased books because they didn't have books. We've purchased fiction, nonfiction, dictionaries, thesaurus, everything so they could do homework and do some academics in the program. We improved our customer service, which was a big problem at the beginning of the year, by implementing an online payment method with the help of the finance department, so that has worked great. We have partnered with the Girl Scouts of America to sponsor troops at our sites, and we have purchased dominoes for our sites. Now, for our next year, school year, we are opening 4 new sites, and that was part of our strategic plan to have a VPK unit at every elementary school. So next year, we will have completed that by adding at Neptune Elementary, Michigan Avenue, Bella Lago, and Toho High. So we're going to increase the number of families we're serving by 100 more. We're also going to expand the dual language to Thacker, Eastlake, and Toho High. We are going to establish, which we're very, very excited, 3 blended units in Michigan Avenue, Highlands, and Sunrise, in collaboration with the ESC department. And what we're going to have is 9 regular VPK students and 9 developmentally delayed students. So we're going to increase the number of families we're serving. We're also contracting with Chess for Life to offer chess at our VPK site. So we're very excited about that also. We're going to purchase a program that will help progress monitor our students in math. At this time, we don't have anything to progress monitor in math. So we're going to, we contracted with ST Math. We are going to continue to close the technology gap by allowing students to practice on a computer for the Flickers test, which is the readiness test that they take for the state. And we're piloting the use of certified educators at Ross Jeffries this year. So with extended learning, we are contracting and continue to train our personnel because we are inspected by DCF and by 4C. They come without announcing, so we have to remain in compliance with them. We're increasing the number of STEM that we're offering next school year. We are contracting with Chess for Life to implement a chess club also at 14 of our extended learning sites. We are going to continue to work, and this year we hope to have the domino challenge at our sites. I know community relations are getting the tables for us. We already have the dominoes, so hopefully in September we'll be able to start. We are continuing to grow the Girl Scouts at more sites, and we are also contracted with Sanford Harmony to present a social emotional learning program to all of our sites at no cost. So in a nutshell, that are some of the great things that are happening at both of those programs. And I don't know if anybody has any questions or...
I have a comment. Just thank you not only for the presentation, the information, but thank you for your continued work. Dr. Pace and I were just at Poinciana Medical Center last week, I think it was, highlighting the great work that they are doing in partnership with us with Osceola Reads and the importance that our community has placed upon early childhood education. So thank you for your diligent effort in making sure that that is taking place so that by the time our students are enrolling in the school district, we've already placed some of the support in place that they need to be able to succeed. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rodriguez.
Okay.
Thank you. So we now have the information updating the board on the Center for Employee Health. That's Superintendent Pace.
Right. Mr. DeBoer unfortunately had to leave today. He was not feeling well, but I did just want to highlight a couple of quick things. First of all, we continue to have about an 86% approval rate based on our surveys at our health center. Our Employee Wellness Center continues to have a pretty high population. We did see a slight slowdown in March, but we anticipate that that's probably because of spring break. Even though the clinic was operational, folks wanted to do other things besides go to the health center. However, our good news on the no-show account, it's down to about 10% for the month of March, which, remember, at one time it was up to 22% of the appointment. So the penalty cause, the information, the campaign, I think, has really helped with that piece. And our employees have now saved almost $1.5 million. It's like 1.496 in terms of out-of-pocket expenses for both their copays for the visits and also copays that otherwise would have been due for their prescriptions. So we continue to see high use and yields for our employees. I did also want to point out, however, in terms of our health trust fund, we talked at length at our last board meeting and last workshop about our concerns about the health insurance trust fund. And we are now at a loss of $2.4 million in the first quarter of the year. In January, February, and March, expenses exceeded revenue into the plan by $2.4 million. That's about double what we were experiencing last year in terms of a per quarter problem for our health trust fund. It's also important to note that in the last 6 months, expenses have exceeded revenues 5 out of 6 of those months. So we know that we continue to need to have discussions and examinations, work with the board, work with Cigna, work with Florida Hospital, work with Gallagher on solutions for this problem because the current trend is not sustainable.
Dr. Pace, just quickly, because This is double what we had the same quarter last year. And that's just, I don't know. I mean, I believe that that's what's happening. Can we look into to find out what's going on in terms of why we have the gap of that's twice as much as last year? I could imagine a normal increase due to inflation and things like that to be, 20%, but double? Did we have some catastrophic events? And so that way I don't think like, hey, next year's going to be double again, because seriously, there may be some, just unusual factors that is causing this.
We do have 3 catastrophic cases that we have been monitoring that we'll continue to experience some challenges with. We continue to see higher costs for things like diabetes and musculoskeletal, just like we talked about. Higher costs for specialty drugs, especially to treat some of these more significant illnesses. But in general, it has been higher trend, in other words, higher claims for dependents and spouses.
Right, so it's a combination of things, I get it. But I also understand that just everything is just getting more expensive. So even if we didn't have these outliers, we just, and then we could expect those expenses to continue the following 2019 Q1, first quarter, right? How are we supposed to react to that? I mean, here we are, like, as a school district, that we need to manage with all of these expenses, yet for our vendors and for everyone else, they got to continue seeing growth in profits and revenues and the things that we spend. How do we keep up with that?
We have been able to reach the MOU with OCEA for some changes to our pharmacy plan that will go into effect this summer that we anticipate will help a little bit, especially on the specialty drug piece. There are changes that really require little disruption to our employees, just more access and how they get to their medicines and those types of things than, taking medicines away. But we've got to continue to discuss what other things that we can and need to do.
Do we have, lastly, do we have any leverage at all? Or do we just have to accept that every year drugs are more expensive, procedures are more expensive, is that just something that we can't do nothing about? That we are slave to this market-driven prices that are happening every year, where there's growth in all these industries, yet we don't have the money to pay for that?
Well, as you know, we have been working closely with Gallagher, Cigna, and Florida Hospital to look at what kinds of options we have to help impact these things. We did the RFP for our third-party administrators, I believe a year ago, 2016, to look at both our medical TPA and our pharmacy TPA, and we were able to get some savings in terms of lower fees and those types of things, a premium holiday from Cigna as a result of those negotiations through the RFP process. And we continue to push Gallagher on what other options there are out there. One of the things that some districts are exploring is almost a tourism approach to some of the heavy-duty medical expenses that can actually be done with care and wellness in other countries for cheaper. And in some districts, they found it's cheaper to pay for people, for them and a family member to go down and have a medical expense done. So we're really trying to look at outside-the-box ways to address this. But we're going to have to push harder with Gallagher, with Cigna, with Florida Hospital to come up with some different answers.
Good.
That's my
I'm glad
recommendation.
that the district is taking every approach, because at this point, board, we're at like every idea we need to think about. We need to.
And I know we're still actively researching what we could do on a statewide level to get a full program. And I know that's been, and I know we've always talked about that, but to really push that forward. Mr. Wheeler?
Clearly, first off, thank you for the update, Dr. Pace. Clearly, what we've got now is unsustainable. And, we're upside down and it's getting worse instead of better. And, okay, we are where we are. So the question I've got for you, Dr. Pace, is say by the June 5th board meeting, that's more than 30 days out, can we get options to look at vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry? And one of those options may be where we've got to terminate our relationship with one of our providers or our administrator or our consultant, hire a new consultant, a new administrator, or a new provider. And I don't know. I'm not telling you that that's the path to go down, but I'm not, when we make a commitment to work with somebody, it's a sincere commitment. When we find it's unsustainable and it's not working for us financially and we're going to go broke, I think that it's incumbent upon us to say, okay, we have an agreement with you, and it's not that we don't want to live up to it. You and I didn't anticipate this financial situation, and we just can't do it. So I'd like to see some options that maybe weren't considered before for us to consider, and I recognize that there's no great options out there. I totally get that. But there's always vanilla chocolate and strawberry. And I'd like to see something. I can't speak for the rest of the board. I don't know if you can do it by June 5th, but I don't think that this is something we need to treat with a sense of urgency.
So I know I've had conversations with Mr. DeBoard about, in the past, looking for other, because this is not an Osceola problem. It's not just a Florida problem. It's a nationwide problem. I mean, I know we've dealt with it, personal small business insurance rates going through the roof. So I understand, but I guess and I know you brought up the points, and I guess to Mr. Wheeler's point, is there any specific district somewhere in this state that's you could point to and say, man, they've figured it out? Or are they all sitting and saying, this is really tough, without some more investment by the state, without a change in some of the healthcare laws, we're
That is certainly something that I will push Gallagher to research. I'm not aware of a district that has it figured out.
Our size district.
Right, a similar size, exactly.
And maybe
certainly
Gallagher's
we can
not the
look at
right
that.
partner.
If you remember, we just did an RFP for our consulting services within the last 12 months. So we've already gone out there to look for other options for that consultant service.
Okay, so with that said, Dr. Pace, let's see if there's other consultants working with other districts, counties, cities, state agencies, et cetera, and maybe there's something we can piggyback off of, even if it's on an interim basis. It's always good. Gallagher's telling us X, maybe X and Y. Maybe somebody else will tell us something different. And I don't know that they will or that they won't, but I know the situation we're in now, our loyalties are to our employees, not to Gallagher. So, which is not a knock on anything anybody is doing, but we are at a crisis point financially, and we need to do something different.
I don't know that I can have solid vanilla strawberry chocolate for you by June the 5th, but we are certainly aggressively trying to look
By
at
July.
what options we
By
have.
July, that's 60 days.
Mint chocolate chip?
Rocky Road. Yeah, so I actually think so first of all, board, I agree with all of you, but Mr. Booth, you really hit on what I was going to mention, which really this is a macro problem, and we have to deal with it locally and on the state level, but that really isn't the solution, really. The problem is that we have a flawed approach to how we deal with healthcare in the United States of America.
Absolutely.
And a unified one-size-fits-all approach is not going to be the approach, and we inherit the problems of those type of federal policies.
Correct.
And then what ends up happening is boards like ours, small businesses, and families across the United States end up suffering, not recognizing that the byproduct that we're all enduring as a direct result of the poor policy decisions that are being made at various levels of government. So I say that to say that obviously I know that this board's committed to continue to try to figure out what we need to do, including some of the ideas that you guys have mentioned and the superintendent. I know that we're all committed to continuing to try to work at the state level, but the other part of it is really taking a macro approach to how we look at this and what voice we can lend to this on a national level. I'll be in D.C. in a week, I think it is, working on some real estate policy stuff, but as I mentioned to you guys, anytime I take any of those trips, I make sure that I also work in some of the education policy stuff, and I think part of what needs to be discussed at the national level is the direct impact on districts like us, employees that we serve, and the community that we represent as a result of some of the flawed policy making that takes place in D.C. So point being is that it's really all levels of government that we need to address in order to make sure that we're continuing to change the approach to dealing with these problems.
Thank you, Mr. Weisshire. Anything else, Dr. Pace?
No, sir.
All right, board, that'll move us into our regular agenda items, number 13, number 13.01. Board, what's your pledge?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve by Mr. Weisshire, second by Mr. Wheeler. Board, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Board, that brings us down to actually something we will have discussion on, 14.01, and that's to approve the naming, mascot, and colors for middle school. They are listed actually there. I do want to make some comment on this. I did hold a meeting in Harmony back in January. It just doesn't seem it was back in January. It was a long time ago. So I think we were pretty solid on, I know everyone that was in attendance. I mean, a couple other suggestions, but for the most part, the vast, vast majority of folks were very solid on the name and the colors. We had a young lady that I happen to know. Her family jump out first with a mascot name, and everybody cheered and applauded. But we still went through the process, and I think staff and the folks that are doing that kind of rested with that recommendation. And so if you see it there, the Harmony Middle School Wranglers, and they'll be the same colors as well, cobalt blue and orange, which matches the K-8 and the
Isn't
high
that,
school.
isn't that Osceola High School colors?
I think it's very clever that you
No.
named your mascot after clothing. It's it's
what?
No, it's not. Wrangler's more than just jeans.
Wranglers.
It's
Wrangler's like a cowboy.
he doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Oh, no, that is clever, man.
You know what? We're going to have a session. Mr. Soto and I have a session after the meeting.
Which might help you know where the jeans name came
Go
from.
to the rodeo
as well.
sometime.
Wrangler
Calvin.
jeans. They were made for
Well,
Wranglers.
I actually thought that was cool. I said,
Cattle Wranglers. Yeah. So, board, if there's any further discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve as submitted.
I'll second.
I just have a quick comment.
Yep.
We've had discussion about naming processes, colors, selections, mascots, all that, and making sure that we have a collaborative process as a board to get there. It happens that in this instance, I actually think that the product that's being brought to us is 100% the right product. And so I'm glad that we can move past it quickly because I think that the work has already been done. But I also want to make sure that I use this opportunity to make sure that we are being intentional about how we go about this process because the board's had a lot of discussion about that in the past. And as we continue to grow, each one of us or all of us have opinions on what naming should take place at our schools, what mascots, what colors, those type of things, because we take great pride in how they represent either that area of the county or Osceola as a whole. So in this case, I say home run, kudos, I'm on board, but I just want to make sure that we stay true to what we've defined as our process.
And to Mr. Weishar's point, I'd like, and I'm thinking about this with Mr. Booth in mind also. Do we want to make a minor change and call it cobalt blue and harmony orange?
Is there harmony?
I like the idea of harmony orange more than
Texas orange.
Color doesn't have
It's
to change.
actually, it should probably officially be burnt orange.
Burnt harmony orange, harmony burnt orange. I just don't
It's
like
the
idea
same
of
color.
I just don't like they have Texas
Let's
in
get
there.
Texas out of there. I'm going to amend that
We
motion.
can go with burnt orange.
We will amend, so, Mr. Wheeler, you made the motion, Mr. Soto, you made the second. Are you both okay with amending your motion and your second
Amend that
to
motion.
change the color from cobalt blue to burnt orange?
No, cobalt blue is the same, but Texas,
Cobalt blue and burnt orange.
burnt orange. is
Eliminating the word Texas?
fine. Yes, eliminating the word Texas. Strike the word Texas.
I don't like Texas either, so I'm good. No, I'm just
I'm going to second the
Was
motion.
Florida orange, I'd go for it.
it's fine.
I'll second the
All right, I don't want to.
Yes.
Okay, I think we've had our discussion. Mr. Weishar, thank you for your points. And we will move forward and call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Welcome the Harmony Wranglers. I like it.
Right.
So, and I know Ms. Horner will be
Chairman,
excited.
under item number 15, I'll make a motion to approve items 15.01, 15.
We don't have that on here today, so we will have to go through that one by one, Mr. Wheeler.
I'll make a motion to approve item 15.01 as submitted.
Okay. Second, so I have a motion by Mr. Wheeler, second by Mr. Soto. Board, any discussion? I have some. I just wanted to thank, I think it was Mr. Shatira, Mr. Cavaney, for reaching out, having that meeting, working through what we were trying to do. I think we're on the right path, trying to get these things done, trying to address some issues that we have within our district. I want to thank you gentlemen for stepping up and getting that work done. So I do appreciate that. So, board, anything else? No. Seeing no further discussion, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Board, what's your pleasure on item 15?
15.02, I make a motion to approve as submitted.
I have a motion by Mr. Soto, a second by Mr. Wheeler. Board, is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve item 15.03 as submitted.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Wheeler, second by Mr. Soto. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries 4-0. There we go. Dr. Pace?
Nothing, sir.
Nothing? Mr. Krumpenbacher?
Yes, there is one administrative item. We have St. Cloud Prep and St. Cloud High School charters. They entered into a charter contract with you and at the time identified themselves as a private employer. They want to switch to be a public employer. I contacted the Department of Education and spoke with the school choice thing and confirmed what I thought, and that was the board really has no basis. I mean, they're asking because the contract says private employer. They have a right to be a public employer. It would not, I looked at it, we would not be exposed at all financially to the district. It would enable them to have their employees be able to participate in the state pension system for which they have to make the payments, et cetera. The reason I'm bringing it up now is to ask for your authority to do an addendum that simply identifies that they are now a public employer as opposed to a private employer. And quite candidly, to bypass preparing a resolution and doing all the stuff that you do, it's just a technical change to make sure the records reflect properly in our books.
Mr. Krumpenbacher, just real quick, as our attorney, if we do decide to go in this direction, what will be the proper, do we need to take a vote on allowing you to do that?
To authorize me.
We would vote to
have the
authorize.
records
Okay.
reflect the change with the understanding of the representation that it in no way puts this district in any financial risk.
Okay. Mr. Wheeler?
Mr. Krumpenbacher, can't they do this without our approval? Can't they just do it?
I said that, all right? I said, guys, I don't believe you need it, except I do understand the contract they signed with us says public employer, so they don't want to make a move.
It says private employer
Private
now.
employer.
Yep.
They don't want, I respect, they don't want to somehow make a move, and the board says, how did you do that without our blessing? They appreciated our staff's, our willingness to work with us.
Sure. You just want to amend that part of the contract to say.
It's just going to say private. There'll be a addendum that says these two words have been changed to public employer.
Bring it back for a vote, he wants to vote now.
No, just authorize us to make that change.
I'll make a motion to authorize that change.
I'll second.
Just a quick question. Is this extremely common? Is that the way a lot of them are set up? I haven't paid attention, to be honest, to that.
This is probably the first one where I've seen someone convert. Normally, they start out with being in the state with the public, or they stay private. I have not seen a charter flip.
That's why I ask. I'm not really
like
familiar
that.
with
But I
that
think
happening.
we're getting into a more competitive stage where if you want to get teachers in that, I remember when Windy Ridge looked at converting, and the only issue and the reason they did not get a vote to convert to a charter school were the entire administration and faculty and staff. Nobody wanted to fall out of that state pension system. And so they have the option now to stay in it. Back then, they didn't.
Hey, we've got no exposure.
And no exposure, but this will also be a significant investment for them to invest in the FRS program. So they are going to have to step up and make a significant investment in their employees by doing this.
I just have one. Go ahead, please. I have additional question for Dr. Vasquez.
And I will share with you that our team works closely with St. Cloud Prep on their budget because of some litigation with their first management company
Correct,
that's
yeah.
still pending.
They had a bad one.
And our budget staff does not see how they can afford to make this conversion. We're not opposed to it from a philosophical standpoint,
Okay.
but we are concerned about their financial status when they try to go that direction. So we will continue to work with them and provide some advice, but we have no control over what they do with this. But I do want to caution the board that there is some concern about whether or not they can afford
So
to
if-
do that.
If we allow this change to be made, will we then be forcing them into FRS, or as being labeled as a public employer, if they say, wow, this we can't make this work, they don't have to join FRS?
My recommendation is to say to them, guys, our board's position is you can be public or private. That's your decision. they're okay with it, because I think, I met early with Sarah on this. I think there's gonna be a meeting with us, with them. They may not wanna make that move,
Okay.
all right? But I wanna dot the I that if they wanna make it and they think they can do it, that's your decision, but realize what you are potentially doing. And we're not getting at odds on the issue.
Mr. Weisher, just one second. Well, no, go ahead, sorry.
I mean, you're the charter guru from the state of Florida, so have you seen this in other areas? Is this common, uncommon? I'm not familiar with it, and so I'm curious if you are.
Usually, at the time that we negotiate a contract, they make the decision to be a public employee or a private employee. For example, New Dimensions High School has been a public employer since the inception of the contract. St. Cloud Prep started with a different kind of leadership and a different board. So at this time, that's when they have requested to be a public employee.
Are you familiar with, aside from New Dimensions, are you familiar with any other schools in this district or in surrounding areas as a reference point or an example of anybody else being that way?
In our district, or New Dimensions, the public employee.
In the area, I can tell you, they tend to start out one way and stay one way.
Yeah. That's why I'm asking the questions. I haven't encountered it yet, and it's not something that I've seen as a common practice, and so
So I
I'm
called
curious.
DOE, I said, I've never seen this request before, what does it mean for us? And they said, we don't think they even need to ask you, that's their right to be one or the other. And I said, well, we have a contract, so technically, we hold them to a contract, but.
But it doesn't matter, I mean, we want them to be successful, obviously, but. Please, Mr. Wood. I'm sorry.
Thank you. First off, thank you, Mr. Kruppenbacher, for briefing me on this prior to the meeting. The only piece I didn't get prior to the meeting was Dr. Pace and I didn't have a conversation about this. So now that I've heard your comments, and their finances are highly suspect relative to whether they can actually afford this or not. My issue is, number one, how'd they respond when you said we don't think you can afford it? That's number one. And number two, if they do this and they, quote, can't afford it, that means you're taking money away from kids. So, I mean, or am I missing something? I mean, when I think somebody can't afford something, we're talking about public education, usually kids and teachers are the ones who get hosed. And I want to know what to expect relative to this.
And I'm going to have to defer to Sarah on this. I'm not sure that the meeting with them has been held yet.
We have spoken with them in the past. They had asked about doing this, and we did tell them that we didn't think they really had their money in their budget to be able to afford it.
Okay.
But what Mr. Kruppenbacher is asking for authority on tonight, it wouldn't mean they have to move forward
Okay.
with this tomorrow, so there's really no harm in the board approving this tonight. We know we could go ahead and allow them to be a public
Well-
employer, and then, they could decide this next year's not the time to do this
Okay.
budget-wise, and maybe at some point in the future, if their finances are in a better position, then they may want to go ahead and make that switch to allowing their employees to become FRS. So there's really no harm in us making the change tonight. It doesn't mean that they would have to move forward.
I'm just saying, if you want to make it, but I think when we meet with them, I would like to say to them, Mr. Lawyer, look at guys, if you make this and you fall into a crack, you've made the decision and our board's going to hold you accountable. Well,
The only thing I would add to that is, obviously, board, I'm not gonna, I'll be off the board in less than a year, and the comment I would like to make is, look, I'm okay with approving this, I got no problem with that. My issue is that if we do approve it and they go down this path, and they're somehow hurting kids financially because of this, and their performance goes, tanks, and if they do it while I'm here, I'll ask Dr. Pace to put him on the agenda and bring him in. But if I'm not here, I would encourage any of you to do that also, because I don't want to shortchange kids for something that, they're looking at on an Excel spreadsheet. On a spreadsheet, everything looks good. All of a sudden, you apply it, and there's real-life consequences for people. So that's my only caution.
I do think in the end, we may be going a little too far in the discussion, because
Maybe.
really, they can do it if they want to, according to DOE.
we could get very technical and say, guess
So
what, you
I
got to
don't
sign
think we want,
contract,
I don't think we
but
want to have a legal fight with the team. We can
No.
give our recommendations, as we
Chairman.
always do, as Dr. Vasquez always does, give quality recommendations to our charter operators. But essentially, what I think what Mr. Krumpebacher said is if they want to try it, they
I understand that, Ricky.
certainly can try.
These are our kids, though, in their school. I look at every kid in every charter school as our kids, and I don't want to see our kids get compromised because of some short-sighted management decision that doesn't know how to handle finances.
Well, that can happen, Jay. Well, that's the status that we have
But
in this
again,
state
in the
regarding
charter
charters.
school system,
All we could do
that's
is react.
their prerogative.
Yep, all we could do is react.
And I
And I
bring them
trust
in.
staff, they are always on top of this. I think the superintendent just gave you an example about the ongoing supervision and concerns they have with the school. We try to help them because there are students. Sometimes we have to close them. I think that that's happened before with this board, and we're not shy about doing that.
No, I don't want to have to do that.
And I don't want to be in a legal tit for tat about one
No,
word
I just want
about,
to make my position clear.
You did.
so. Do we have a motion?
Yeah.
Yeah, still pending.
Still pending. Any further discussion? I think it was by Mr. Wheeler.
Second by me.
Second by Mr. Soto. Board, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Please let them know about the healthy conversation.
Moving on, back to Deborah, you said nothing? Any unfinished business? We do. Oh, new business? Yes. So board, because our colleague here, being president-elect of the Florida School Board Association, I believe he was the representative, the legislative committee representative, is that correct?
I'll make a motion to continue Tim Weiss.
No, I don't think he can be now.
No, he said he can.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any
You could do both.
Oh, he
Sure.
can?
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm not aware of anything in our bylaws that would preclude me
Okay,
from
sounds,
continuing the service.
that'd be good to have the president as our rep.
I'll make a motion for Tim Weissire to be the Osceola County Legislative Liaison with Florida School Board Association.
I gladly
going forward.
second that motion.
And we do need an alternate as well, board, and I
Mr.
think
I'll nominate,
Clarence.
I'll nominate Clarence Soto, Clarence Thacker.
And I
Clarence
gladly,
Soto.
Clarence
I
Thacker.
gladly second that motion.
So why don't, Tanya, why don't we wrap this into one motion? And
I'll make a motion to approve Tim Weissire as the Legislative Liaison for Florida School Board Association on behalf of the Osceola County School District, with Clarence Thacker as the alternate in the event that Mr. Weissire cannot attend. Second.
Board, any further discussion? I have a motion by Mr. Wheeler, a second by Mr. Soto.
Do I say thank you or?
Yes.
Or,
Yes.
To Jay.
Because I can
great
read
honor.
between the lines pretty clearly that you guys are like, yeah, you do that.
Big honor.
No, it is. I'm grateful. You guys have been very supportive of me.
You've done a
and,
great job, and we're looking forward to you continuing doing a good job.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss.
Thank you,
And
John.
we're looking forward to me not doing it.
I know.
Tanya, are y'all good? Yes, sir. Okay. Board, I'm gonna just close discussion on this right now. And I call for a vote. All in favor, state aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Is it a conflict of interest? No, just
That's why I thought we were doing. So we are down to board member comments, and I believe Mr. Weissire had.
Yeah, actually, I was going to speak on something, but I'm meeting with Superintendent Pace and even Mr. Clinch tomorrow, and really falls into the area, so I'll save the Liberty specific piece for that conversation. But I did want to bring up, when I was talking about Liberty, Dana's in the back of the room, and I know some of her team may even still be around, but you guys know I held a community update down at Liberty High School again the other day. It went well, and I just want to say thank you once again to Dana and her team for all the work that you do and all the preparation you put in to make sure that this school board in this district is working diligently to engage our community. We're really blessed and fortunate to have you and people from your team supporting the work that we endeavor to take on every single day, so thank you.
May I inquire from Mr. Weissire?
The answer is no.
No, he said yes. He's the one.
He doesn't have to
What,
respond.
Well, what's the biggest thing you got out of it, from our community, District 3? You can share with us.
Yeah, it's a good question. There were comments and questions surrounding how the community can get engaged in supporting the school board. There was questions surrounding specifically some of the overcrowding concerns from some of the parents at Reedy Creek Elementary, and the growth that's happening all across that area, and they're ultimately what started out as their desire for even more portables at the school. But when I started talking to them about the expense that's associated with doing that on both the short term and the long term, they had understood that it may not be prudent for us to continue to spend money to put infrastructure in for portables on the campus. I'm trying to remember. There was some concerns about access to the school, meaning traffic flow patterns, bus loop type stuff. There was a comment brought up about the transportation concerns we had throughout the school year, particularly at the beginning of the school year with shortage of bus drivers, and the continued growth in the school district, as well as the impact from Hurricane Maria and having a major influx of students over a very short period of time, and what we were doing to continue to try to work with the transportation concerns, which also included whether or not we would or wouldn't be adding new buses to our fleet, as well as if we did, what would we do to make sure we have the drivers in place to actually staff run those. I don't have my notes with me, but you know, all in all, too, we did the update a little bit differently this year, where we hosted a roundtable discussion, just so you guys kind of know what the format looked like. In the past, we've done more of a panel discussion and presentation in the auditorium, and this one was a little bit more intimate in nature, sitting around the table with one another and having a conversation. It went very well. I did go through some key points that I want to share with the increases in graduation rates and being an AP district, and some of the things that I know we're all very proud of, but then really spent the bulk of the time at the end just answering questions and being available and responsive. And I will tell you that the community is very appreciative of that time, just being able to sit with a school board member and express some of their desires and concerns. I would also say that as a whole, it was a really good night. You know, it was one of those nights where you guys know, anytime, I know all of us feel this way, anytime we get to engage with our community or constituents, it's a meaningful experience for us. And so it's one of those moments where when you leave, you say, you know, I'm really glad that I had this opportunity to talk with them, to answer their questions. And I think more than anything, just continue to be an open and accessible elected official that serves and honors them in what I do. So that's kind of the highlights. I may be missing something that's just slipping my mind, but it was a good night.
No, thank you for sharing.
My pleasure.
I think
Thanks
that
for asking.
We're all interested in what's going on in anybody's district, and so you had that opportunity. Yeah, I guess, board, one of the things, the whole transportation issue is really resounding from a lot of different sources, by the way. With the bus stops, I think it got a lot of attention too from the press, and that was one of the things that happened earlier this year, that the press really got involved a lot with our transportation issues.
Yeah. I'll share this too, and it really aligns with the spirit of this board. Is I shared with them, I think at the end of the meeting, the importance of them being engaged in the conversation of what we can do to continue to elevate the teaching profession, what it is and what it means to our community.
That was a common theme as well?
Yeah, well, it was something that I brought up, was that I felt like it was really important that everybody understand that education is such an important part of what happens in our community. And we can have a far bigger conversation about the mechanics of how the school system in the United States of America is set up, and the agrarian calendar we follow, and some of those other components that may or may not lend to continued success as we sit here today in 2018. But I think the biggest point for me was just saying to everybody, you know, we live in a society where it becomes easier to ridicule, criticize, or tear people down, as well as to make comments or statements that really aren't founded in truth and fact, but are more just opinion or just a repeat of some political hashtag or movement that's floating around at any given time. And part of the commentary that I was focusing on with that was, you know, letting them know that they have a school board that generally wants their involvement and their engagement, and that we've made part of our strategic plan the idea of community support, community engagement, and that we welcome our constituents to be partners with us in the work that we're doing. It's not left for the 5 of us or the 6 of us with the superintendent to try to figure it all out on our own, but it's all of us working together as a community to elevate the conversation locally on the state level and national level about the importance and the prominence of education and what it means to children, families, and our community as a whole. And I can tell you that that was something that people certainly appreciated, and I think was heard loud and clear.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Weishauer. Thank you, Mr. Soto. Dr. Pace?
If I could just make 2 quick comments. As you remember, Board, in a part of our discussion last year, so we were looking at our strategic planning work, we talked about doing more of those roundtables, and it's something that we've not been able to mobilize this year, but it is something that is on Dana's mind for us to really look at in goal 4 as we talk about our year 3 of our strategic plan with the board at our workshop and this summer. And then also regarding transportation, I just wanted to update the board to say that I actually met with Mr. Shatera and Mr. Tucker, Mr. King, and Mr. Jones this morning to talk about planning for the 18-19 school year for transportation. We have a follow-up meeting on the 17th. On a good news note, the job fairs and the work that we did with our Teamsters contract to raise those salaries has made a very positive impact. We now have, knock on wood, all of our routes covered. We actually have a few extra attendants that we've been able to put on buses that weren't necessarily required by our ESE IEPs, but because of large buses where folks were having some issues and we wanted to help provide an extra adult to settle kids down. We are moving forward in our pilot. It's been successful at Westside K8 with Here Comes the Bus. We're going to add OHS in the next couple of weeks, and we're going to try it this summer in extended school year so that our plan will be to fully be able to launch that application in August like we had hoped to do last year. But a big piece is, as you mentioned, having enough drivers to get our kids to school on time and home every day. And we have an additional job fair in June as well as in July, and we already have 6 candidates signed up for that July training class that'll be ready to start when August comes around. So we're not going to relent at all on that pressure to continue advertising and promoting and recruiting and encouraging folks to join our transportation team, but also looking at ways that we can better nurture and care for them to keep us with us over time.
Dr. Pace, board members, anything else? No. We will actually stand in recess and we will adjourn upstairs after our executive session. Bargain.